what helped me, what like getting started with you all is, okay, what is the next step, right? Like when I'm creating a plan for a lady when they're new to it, I tell them not to focus on step 100. Like, this is your next goal. Let's accomplish that. And then we recalibrate, onto the next and onto the next and onto the next. So I think what I do on a day-to-day really translated over was I just looked at it. Okay, Brandon, Gabby, they're my coaches. Right? Like, I hired them for a reason, and I'm going to trust their play. And I think that you even felt that in our interaction. I was like, if you say go, I'm following your lead, right? Because you already knew what, as you all call it, like my buy box, you knew my parameters, you knew what I was working with. So my thing is, like, I borrowed your faith until mine kicked in.
Welcome to Keys to Your First Rental, the private podcast designed exclusively for soon-to-be real estate investors. If you've dreamt of owning rental properties, you're in the right place. Join Gabby as she sits down with investor clients who share how the Real Estate Bae Agency has taken them from confused to closed. From finding the perfect location, to analyzing rental markets, to securing financing and placing tenants. We equip clients with tools and strategies to make their real estate dreams a reality. Here are their stories.
So welcome to Keys to Your First Rental podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Alexander Williams. We're on the phone with another savvy investor all the way from Rhode Island. We have Nadia. Nadia, how are you doing today?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Doing great. Tell us about, is this your first investment property?
On my own, yes. It is my first one. The one prior to was with a family member.
Got you. Okay, tell me about that first experience with your with an investment, just period. And then give us a little background on where you're from. Let the folks know where you're from, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely. So I'm from Rhode Island, New England area, and my first experience with the investment property was definitely clunky. The one that was prior to Real Estate Bae. Real estate has been something that I've always wanted to do, but just had a lot of fear around it. And there wasn't like a simple way to go ahead and get into it. We were most certainly blessed with the opportunity that we had before you all. But after that, it was impossible for us to move forward just because of our market. Things were getting so expensive. We didn't know who to trust. So it just became more of a hassle, and we were kind of just stuck. You know what I mean?
No, I completely understand. Yeah, because I imagine, when it comes to the East Coast period, a lot of those markets are pretty expensive. I know Connecticut is expensive, and I know that Rhode Island is like right next door. So I would imagine that it's not that big of a price difference. What would you say? So let me see. So recently you just purchased a 3-bed, 1-bath home here in St. Louis. When you saw how big the house was, if there was a house nearby where you live, how much would that house cost?
Oh, man. I mean, you're not getting anything. You're not getting anything over here for less than $300,000.
Okay.
You're not getting anything here. Yeah. So if you're looking to invest, then you can see like what that would cost as far as what you need to come out of pocket with, you know what I mean? And then forget about if you have to renovate or anything like that. But yeah.
Gotcha.
You're not getting anything less than $300,000 around here.
Awesome. So the first property that you invested in, was it a duplex or was it a single family home?
It was a single family, very similar to the one that I have now, that I was able to acquire now through Real Estate Bae. But we had gotten that like prior to COVID. We really got that off the market with the realtor we were working with. So we got a great deal on it. But I mean, right now, like, again, so it's very similar to the one that I just acquired with you all. And that one is appraising around like $315,000.
Oh, okay. Got you. $315,000.
Yeah.
And do you have a tenant in that one?
I do.
Okay, Cool. What's the rent like in that area, in the Rhode Island area?
So that one is going for $2,150.
Ooh-wee.
Yeah.
$2,150. Okay. No, that's pretty high. Yeah. All right. So let me see. Looking back, what would you say is one of the biggest lesson you learned from the first investment that completely changed how you approach your second one here in St. Louis?
I think Honestly, Brandon, it's more so like not overcomplicating things. I think that your team did a phenomenal job, especially with Gabby, just saying, hey, you're already participating in real estate. Like, have the conversations, get clear on your numbers, and
Mm,
just take the next step forward. So that's what I really appreciate with working with you all, was how simple it all was and how like streamlined you guys are. Cause the confidence that you led with just helps your client to be such at ease. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So yeah.
No, man, thank you. I appreciate the props, man. So God be the glory. We started the agency in 2020, in the middle of the pandemic, and the Lord blessed us not really feel the effects of the pandemic. And so like as we've been going along, we've just been
Hmm.
like giving all of our decision making back to the Lord, saying, okay, Lord, what do you want us to do next? What do you want us to do
Right.
next? And then the biggest thing is like our core values are integrity, holistic investing, and execution. And so that integrity piece is really, we take that very, very, very serious and very personal. So when it comes to doing the right thing when nobody's looking, we're like, we know that the Lord sees all. So it isn't
Yeah.
about what you can get away with. It's about what's right and what's wrong. And guess what? If we drop the ball or make a mistake, we'll cover the costs, even
Right.
if it puts us underwater, because that's the right thing to do in that moment. And so
Hmm.
I thank you for for trusting us and giving us a chance. And so for the people that don't know, you are a coach. So tell the folks what you do, because I sensed this when we did our first action hour call, that you're a pretty serious person, which is a good thing, right? So tell me, tell the people what you do, and tell them how those skills kind of like served you when it came to real estate investing.
Yeah, so absolutely. I help women ditch the diet mindset and really build sustainable wealth through simple practices. Like I say that you are the machine, the world is your gym. So I have a actual physical gym in Rhode Island, and then I have a collective of women through the globe, because all you need is the internet to connect with me. And what helped me, what like getting started with you all, is okay, what is the next step, right? Like when I'm creating a plan for a lady when they're new to it, I tell them not to focus on step 100. Like, this is your next goal. Let's accomplish that. And then we recalibrate, onto the next and onto the next and onto the next. So I
Mm,
think what I do on a day to day really translated over was, I just looked at it. Okay, Brandon, Gabby, they're my coaches. Right. Like, I hired them for a reason, and I'm going to trust the play. And I think that you even felt that in our interaction. I was like, if you say go, I'm following your lead, right? Because you
mm,
already knew what, as you all call it, like my buy box, you knew my parameters, you knew what I was working with. So
mhm.
my thing is like, I borrowed your faith until mine kicked in. And it most certainly did
Wow.
rather quickly when I seen again how you guys lead with excellence, man. And the numbers made sense. It didn't lie. And I was like, let's get it, you know?
Mm. No, that's awesome. So let me ask you this, right? So where does, I'm gonna go back in time. I'm gonna play. I'm not a licensed therapist, guys. Okay, I promise I'm not. I'm gonna let's go back in time. Where does little Nadia get to become confident, serious Coach Nadia? What poured who in
Mm.
your village, or whom has poured into your confidence to
Mhm.
where you're able to lead one, but also take coaching? Some people aren't coachable, right? And we can get
Yeah.
our own way. So what do you think, like who in your village would you think poured into you?
Yeah, definitely. That's a great question. So I think back to going back to about 2014, that's when I accepted Christ. So
Mhm.
and that's the same time that my wellness journey started. And I just remember being in a really rough place. And I was like, okay, Lord, like, I give it to you. And a scripture that I've always, stuck with is, and that's how, like, my brand's tagline is, it's a different kind of strong, because scripture says that in our weakness, the Lord's strength is made perfect. Right. And so,
Mm. Yeah.
for me, I always looked at, like, and when he created us, he said he made us in their image, like in the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. So
Yeah.
with transformation, and when there's times to be there's time, of course, to be isolated and separate, but transformation happens in community. And for me, growing up, especially after I accepted Christ, I will say first and foremost my parents, for sure, but then my church community, man. My bishop and my first lady are absolutely incredible.
Mhm.
And they play a very huge part in the woman that I've became today. And even kind of maybe jumping ahead with your question, but I remember before I officially became your client, like a year prior to, and I told this to your wife, like her and I had a conversation, Brandon. I was on my first retreat with my group of collective women. We were in Jamaica. I talked with Gabby. Listen,
Oh,
nothing changed
wow.
in my circumstance. Like I had everything to move forward, but fear gripped me because in
Mm.
my mind, I wasn't bankable. In my mind, it was just a no. And when I really sat with that, because I'm telling you, I went from profit lab to, okay, let me just talk to the lender. Oh, wow, this can work. Okay, hey, I'm going to become a private client. Like, and it was all about taking the next step. And when I really sat with like, Lord, why was I so paralyzed? Like, why wasn't I moving? You right? Like, again, the facts were still the facts, but what was happening was I was listening to outside scenarios, right? When other people were talking about real estate, when other people were talking about investing, when other people, like their stories were limiting, their stories were negative, and unbeknownst to me, I allowed that to be what I was living from. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, nah, like that's not my portion, right? Like I'm not gonna, I can't do that. And I let a year go by and I had nothing to show for it. And that's why I was like, nope, enough's enough.
Hey listener, it's Gabby the Real Estate Bae, and before you go any further with the episode, I want to personally invite you to join us for the Financial Diet. This diet is July 7th through August 5th. Now, it's a 21-day coaching cohort for serious high earners who are tired of wondering, where is all my money going? You have the income, you have the raises, you may even have the credit score, and on paper, you should be ready to invest. Yet when you look at the mindset, the financial habits, and the budgeting, and even the savings account, those things are not aligned with the next season. I heard the Lord say that in order to move into what is promised to you, you must shed what you no longer need. The Financial Diet is for 21 days, and I'm personally inviting you to join us. All you have to do is click on this episode's show notes, and I'll see you in the Financial Diet. Remember, we start July 7th, 2026. See you soon.
No, that's good. Listen, man, a lot of time I think the Lord allows us to come into small like speed bumps, right? Or roadblocks to
Yeah.
say, hey, you're still human. And that's okay, right? Like you can't
Yeah.
do it all. Or at least you can't do it all right now in this moment. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that a lot of times the Lord is like, hey, just take your time. Like I got everything else. And so it's like one of my favorite scriptures, I'm gonna read it real quick. It says, James 1:22, it says, do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says. Plain and simple, right? It's just pretty black and white. And it's like just kind of, I guess, veggie backing off of what you just said about, hey, I had everything, but there was like some doubt or there was some fear. And the Lord's not giving us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. And
Right.
so a lot of times walking those scriptures out, if we were paying attention, the Lord is like, oh, this is it right now. And it's like, do what it says, right? It seems like a simple concept. And it is, right? But sometimes I think the Lord would give us a wink and say, right now. It's almost like if you've ever been on TV and they're like, rolling, roll sound, and action. And it's like when you hear rolling, you might start talking if you don't know the language. And so sometimes the Lord is like, hey, I told you to go already. And you're like, I believe you, Lord. And he's like, I'll believe that you believe me when you start moving.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of the door, he's like, I got all this stuff that I promised you, but you can't see it because your vantage point is in a different angle. And so it's beautiful to watch a lot of our clients, like such as yourself, to go through these experiences. But the coolest thing is we get to watch your faith in action. Like you said, I love what you say earlier. We're gonna chop that soundbite. You said you borrowed our faith into what?
Until mine kicked in. Yes, I borrowed the faith that you all had until mine kicked in.
Oh no,
Absolutely.
that's heat right there. That's a beautiful concept. No, because sometimes, and it reminds me of the man who I believe it was in the New Testament. He was talking to Jesus, and I believe it was the man who had the boy, the demon possessed boy, and he said, I do believe you, but help my unbelief, right? And
Yes.
that reminds me of
Yes.
that. Like it's almost like he was saying to Jesus, like, let me borrow your faith until mine kicks in. But that's surrendering, right? Like let me ask you this. This is more like I guess a technical question. As a coach, what do you figure works for you when it comes to unlocking somebody to like yield to your coaching?
Meeting them where they're at. Letting them know, like I have to share my zero story, because many times when people hire you, right, like they just look at where you are now, like your hero. So definitely making myself relatable for sure. So when I hear their pain points, when I hear their problems, pulling out something that I've experienced or another woman that I've coached through that to let them know, hey, like, you know, we overcome the enemy by the blood of the Lamb and others' testimony. So being a great steward of my testimony 100% has helped me to, you know, increase their faith in themselves that they can do it.
So tell me a little bit about your zero story, because I don't know it.
Yeah. So for me, so right now at the time of our recording, right, just turned 40 in this past January. But when I was around 27, 28, like I say I was heading nowhere and heading there extremely quickly, right? So I was making poor choices in my personal life, you know, all the things. And I was like, Lord, even though at that time I hadn't accepted Christ, I had grew up like my parents was like, oh yeah, Lord, but I would say lukewarm, if you will, right? And then, so I was just like, I knew that there was more for me. I knew that there was more. And I'm like, I have to be in good health in order to do whatever it is I got to do. And so when I accepted Christ of July in 2014, that's when I started working out. And I always say that the Lord turned my pain into a platform of purpose, because literally women just started flocking to me like, hey, what are you doing? Like, you know, I used to see you partying till 3 a.m. Now you're up at 3 a.m. Like, you know, you're drinking your protein shakes. Like there was just literally a 180, and it was most certainly glory to God. It wasn't my own doing. And then from there, you know, my business just grew, and it's called A Different Kind of Strong, because I just really want women to partner with the Lord and just experience true health from the inside out. So yeah, that's a kind of my story in a quick 30-second.
Awesome. No, thank you for sharing that. No, that's beautiful. If you, let me see. So what is your goal? All right. So it is June 30th, right? Tomorrow is July, because 30 days have September, April, June, and November. That's how I remember that. All right. So next year, 2027, by July 1, how many properties do you want to have?
I would love to see myself with 5. 4
Okay.
more, including the one that we already have. My big long-term goal with you all is to accumulate 10. When I say long-term goal, I'm talking about within the next couple of years, right?
I like that. Hold on. Say that again for the people in the back. So as far as long-term, I mean in the next couple of years, all right? And for those that don't know, a couple is 2. Now listen, here's a quick sidebar, right? Because I like the joke. So a couple, right? When you give something away, a couple is 2. But when you ask for some and you say a couple, you actually mean more than 2. Right? Isn't that true? Isn't that how it goes? Like if you ask like your niece, like, can I get a couple of pieces of candy? And then they give you 2, like, why only 2? But when you give it away, you're like, no, a couple is 2. So here's actually 2. But no, I think that's great for you to say, no, I want 10 in a couple of years. And that's definitely doable.
Yes.
Yeah, no, according to your faith, right? It's like, if you believe, I think about when Jesus was like, hey, I was in Nazareth, I healed some people, but I could have healed more if they believed. So it's like, according to your faith, is for real. And so, you know, I think that's I love that for you. And we're going to help you get to that 10. You guys heard it here. It's on the record. And another thing, I won't go by this other part that you said partnering with the Lord. That's a big footnote, you know, cornerstone, if you will, right? No pun intended. Let me see, what fears or uncertainties did you have before buying your second property?
I think, honestly, my biggest one was that I wasn't enough. You know what I mean? Like, I just wasn't bankable. I wasn't in a position to do it. But I think what was the biggest differentiator, Brandon, if I'm being completely transparent, was I kept it a secret. Right? Like many times when we're carrying something and the Lord wants to birth something through us, we seek outside validation. Like, yo, am I crazy for this idea? And we allow other people's limited beliefs or the fact that their vision isn't for them to deter us. So once I decided to move forward with you all, nobody knew until the deal was closed. Wow. And they're like, yo, when did you work on this? And I was like, you know, like, let the fruit speak for itself. Like, and so that was the biggest thing for me, because I recognized that I was just letting, you know, other people's chatter, outside noise.
I'm going to throw my head in here.
Get in the way. Yeah.
Oh, that's so fire.
Hmm.
No, but you know what? When you do that, I think like as you reflect on it, you're like, I know it was me and the Lord.
Yes, that's it.
Right? Like, and oh man, that's so good. That's probably gonna be the sound bite. You know, on the podcast, I always do a sound bite. That's probably gonna
Yeah.
be the pull quote, just because it's so powerful. It's like there's such thing as monitoring spirits. And it's like
Hmm.
sometimes, when the enemy, like I always break this down to like the brothers in our Bible study, every Saturday, 6 a.m. We have a men's Bible study called the Fathers Union. And one of the things that I break down to my nephews when I talk to them is I say, hey, when the enemy attacks, he doesn't come guns blazing like, hey, I'm going to kill you. He comes like, did God really say?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? The power of
Yep.
suggestion. He
Hmm.
comes that way. So sometimes he can use our loved ones because our loved ones are using logic. They're not using faith. And they're like, well, logically, if you only make this much, how could you? And you weren't even thinking about that until you
Right.
heard it. And so sometimes it's like if I don't give you anything, it's almost like court, right? Like anything you
Hmm.
said can and will be held against you. I may have to track that. I think the enemy might have came up with that terminology. I mean, when I really think about it, but it's like for real because it's like,
Yeah.
oh, if I don't say it, then it's not. I can think it, but not act on it because death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it
Exactly.
shall eat the fruit thereof. So it's like if I'm not speaking it, and here's what I always say, and I'm gonna beat the drum around this until I'm old and gray. You believe your voice more than anybody else's. So the enemy's like, I
Mm.
want to get you to say it because if Nadia says it or Nadia hears it, later on it's going to echo. And her self-talk
Yes.
voice is going to be her saying doubt out loud. But if she thinks
Mm.
it, then the Lord can say, let me put that to rest. Or the Lord
Yeah.
will say, hey, keep walking. You're like, this looks like a dead end, Lord. That's what you think, but you don't say out loud. And he's like, keep walking. And then your
Keep
feet keep
walking.
walking. And you know what I'm saying? And so it's no man, it's a beautiful thing. Yeah, I kept it a secret. That's good. That's real
Hmm.
good. And then the reactions, right? The reactions are even more validating because guess what you did? You just activated faith in them more. And now
Exactly.
you demonstrated to say, okay, let me consecrate this thing, right? This time, this space with the Lord, with this investment. Right. I didn't put my talent in the ground. Don't make me preaching here. I didn't put my talent in the ground. I multiplied it. Right. I took two and made four. I took five and made 10. And so the Lord is like, and now that person's like, let me go get in my quiet space.
Right.
Let me go
Right.
act something out. Like I don't, and like you said, it's not about sometimes it's subtle. We don't realize that we're looking for validation. We're just like, oh, I want to share it. Whatever we'll, tell ourselves to, oh, I want to share with my loved one. I want to share with my auntie, my favorite, my mother, my grandmother. I tell them everything. And it's like, you don't have to. The Lord's like, you don't have to. They're gonna find
Right.
out. But
Yep.
the fruit, like you say, the fruit is, and
Hmm.
here's another quick side thought that I had. Imagine you have um a son or daughter and you've been teaching them this thing and teaching them this thing and teaching them this thing, and I don't know about you, but I'm a helicopter parent, so like it's some stuff that I literally got to get out the way and let my son do. And
Hmm.
when sometimes he'll show me things he's done that I know I didn't teach him, but he'll show
Wow.
me in a way that, oh no, I know this well, Dad. Like I think the
Yeah.
first time I saw my son and daughter prevent themselves from falling, like these are little ones. My daughter's 2.
Hmm.
And then my
Hmm.
son, he's 6 going on 7. But it's like the first time I saw him prevent himself from falling, it gave me an ease. So it's like
Mm.
when our parents see us achieving goals and our friends see us achieving goals, they're like, well, if somebody near me, if somebody I can touch and see can do it, then I can do it too. And then when they come
Right.
to us and we give the glory to the Lord, then that's when they say, oh, I'm going to use that method too. Let me go to the Lord.
Exactly.
And a lot of times when we are, coaches or leaders, people may say, well, could you do it for me? You're like, well, you gotta consult the Lord for that, right? You almost gotta
Right.
like fall in line with protocol and say, no, 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 no. I'm gonna redirect you back to this chapter in this
Hmm.
verse. You know what I'm saying? Like I
Hmm.
can't
Hmm.
do it for you. Like you gotta take the step. You know what I'm saying?
Got to take the
It's
step.
no more time for talking. So if someone just closed on their very first rental property today, what would you tell them to focus on before buying their second?
If someone just closed into their first rental property today,
You know, what would you
what would
tell
I
them to
tell them
focus
to
on
focus
before
on
they buy
before
their
buy
second?
their second?
Mhm.
I would definitely say to make sure that they know their numbers and that they're being a great steward, like, over their budgeting and everything is paid on, everything is paid on time, that they're tending to their tenant, through property management, whatever it is, just make sure that they have their systems in place, because the last thing you want to do is mishandle a blessing and have it become a burden. So I think that that's really, really good to focus in, and just make sure you're crystal clear on the financial picture, and move. Like, you know what I mean? Like, don't wait, because you're never going to be 100% ready, right? So move and just keep expanding.
Awesome. Well said. Well said. So real quick. So how old were you when you opened your first bank account? Where we're kind of like collecting data here, right? So we're, because you know what happened, right? We've all done it. I've done it, right? We listen to podcasts, we hear somebody, and then we hear something we can relate to. We say, and then it's like, okay. And a lot of times it's the Lord on our shoulders saying, no excuse now. No excuse now. So let me ask you this. How old were you when you opened your first bank account? And then how old were you when you had a conversation maybe with your parents about finances or any type of asset acquisition?
18 when I opened freshman year in college. And honestly, Brandon, when I had a conversation as far as like serious when it comes to like asset accumulation or finances, man, shortly before COVID, like a serious one. What they would say is like, work hard, pay your bills on time. But there was never really much talk about finances. It just really wasn't. Yeah.
Gotcha. And so if there's somebody out there listening right now that is looking towards, let's say they don't have, or they don't seemingly, right? Because a lot of times the Lord will give you a revelation. It'll be something next to you. And he's like, hey, just lift up that cover. It's some money under there. You're like, whoa, right? And so what's some advice you would give somebody who believes, right? Let's go to faith and belief. They believe they don't have what it takes right now to invest in their first property. What would you tell them to do? What are some works you would tell them to do to go along with the faith? If they say, I believe it, but what do I do right now?
First response is work with y'all, but the first.
Hold on, say that again. I'm sorry. Hold on. You got broken up a little bit. Say that one more time.
I said work with you all. Real Estate Bae is it, right?
Yeah.
But before that, I would definitely. A quote that I heard when I first started my wellness journey is someone can be given the same hand that you're dealt with and win with it. And so I believe that just asking the Lord, hey, like what is my next step? Like, what do I have that's working towards the goal that I want to get to that I'm not seeing? Right. And then also a couple things, like don't take advice from people you wouldn't want to trade spots with. Right. And so I would say, I followed your wife for years. And one thing, she was consistent with the messaging. She was, she had receipts, she showed results. And so in my mind, she was where I wanted to be, right? And so I would say partner with people, get in rooms that make you nervous, like go with people where they're in positions where you want to be, and lead with discernment. Like the Lord, I think many times when we pray, we're like, we think it's going to magically fall into our lap. Our miracle is in our neighbor. It's in the next person. And so we have to get connected to the right purpose partners, the right destiny helpers. And we'll see, wow, like we had what we need to take the next step, because that's faith without works is dead, right? Like we have to work in our miracles. So I promise you, there's something in your lap. There's something in your hand. There's something in your storehouse for you to get closer to that goal.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I think that's a good note to end on. And we went a little bit over, but it was well worth it. So Nadia, thank you for your time. I'm gonna let you get back to your session. You guys, listen, y'all. We feel special because Nadia broke away from one of her sessions, all right, from one of her clients to come and do this podcast. So I'm gonna let you get back to that. And thank you very much. This has been Keys to Your First Rental. Have a great time and much success to you. And prosperity. I was going to say prosperous, but it didn't fit. Prosperity out there in New England and Rhode Island. You have a blessed day, all right?
Awesome. You too, Brandon. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us here on this episode of Keys to Your First Rental. We hope you found these authentic stories from everyday people valuable and inspiring. If you know you're ready to get the keys to your first rental, we want to meet you. Head to www.workwithbae.com. Complete the quick intake form, and our team will review your details and set you up with next steps. That's it for now. Remember, the keys to your first rental are much closer than you think.